Let's finally reassemble and lubricate this Rolleiflex 3.5B. Start by cleaning the chassis of the camera. Using acetone and a Q-tip, wipe down all the surfaces. We won't be touching focus this time. That will be another video. Now let's focus on the mechanism plate. Remove the drive balls and the ratchet gear. Flip the plate over and remove the 3 screws holding the secondary cam to the plate. Sometimes the secondary cam can become stuck against the main wind shaft. Be careful pulling it off, as there's a spring in the main wind shaft that can pop out if you pull it out too fast. Push the shaft out just a tiny bit. Locate the 2 pins on each side and hold them as you push the rest of the shaft out. If you don't hold the pins in, they will shoot out when the spring tension holding them together unloads. Remove the spring and the pins. Remove the main wind gear. Begin cleaning off the old grease and grime with acetone or naphtha all over every part of the empty mechanism plate. Note the movement of the return stud. Remove the return stud and clean both the part and the area under it. This goes faster if the parts are soaked first, so I drop everything in acetone for a little bit before removing each piece and cleaning them with a Q-tip. The pins are made of plastic, so be careful not to put them in acetone, but only naphtha or isopropyl alcohol. Take a thicker grease and start lubricating around the shaft, making sure to get grease in the grooves on the outside. Grease the spring and the pins and insert one pin into one side of the spring and insert that into the shaft. Replace the other pin on the other side. Also grease the sides of the well where the shaft sits. Hold both pins and squeeze the spring so the pins are flush with the sides. Insert the shaft into the mechanism plate and wedge one pin up into the hole and then the other, never allowing the spring to unload. Turn the shaft in its hole to spread the grease. Replace the main wind gear and the ratchet gear. Then replace the secondary cam on the back, lining the pinup and the 3 screw holes. Grease the drive pawls, placing them into their sprung positions. Seat the ratchet gear in the middle and adjust the pawls so they are engaging with the teeth of the gear. Place your washer and the carrier disc on top, and then, holding those pieces in place, flip the plate over and replace the return stud and its spring. Test for full range of motion. Replace the spring on the back and connect it to the vertical metering link. Then slide the plate and the link back into the body of the camera, lining up the slots and the pins holding them in place. Make sure the shutter release crank links with the shutter wind lever properly. Replace the countersunk screw and the screw in the bottom left corner. Clean the remaining linkages. Lubricate the bottom of the idler gear and place it back in the body. Replace the remaining screw and the retaining link. Place the washer on the post and replace the lower metering link and the bell crank. Test for full range of motion. Clean the rollers on the film feeler assembly as well as the disengagement link. Do not lubricate anything on either part assembly. This must run dry in order to properly engage with the film back and the film. Slide the film feeler post in through the bottom of the camera and then the disengagement link in through the top so that the arm is properly positioned in the film well. You can remove the main wind gear at this time in order to position the disengagement link properly. Replace the shoulder screw and flip the camera onto its top side. Carefully place the spool supply spring and any spacers that came with it into position and replace first the smaller middle screw, then flip the camera back to the wide side and ensure it moves properly. Then replace the last two larger screws in the film feeler assembly. Be sure the post on the film feeler assembly drops into the slot on the lower metering link and is properly positioned so that the post strikes the back end of the disengagement link and everything moves how it should. Replace the film feeler spacer. Replace the main wind gear. Place the film metering cam follower, ensuring the stud on the right side connects in the hole with the vertical metering link. Seat its screw with the attached spring into place. Bring the spring into position, the left side sitting in a groove in the pawl, and the other side resting against the post. Ensure full range of motion. Replace the spring on the disengagement link, keeping a finger on the spring so it doesn't jump out. Ensure full range of motion. Replace the spring on the disengagement link, keeping a finger on the spring so it doesn't jump out. Carefully note the shape of each end of the film metering cam spring. The upper end is straight, formed at an angle away from the body of the spring, but the lower end has a hook that fits around a slot formed in the camera body. Seat the spring and then replace the film metering cam, noting the upper end of the spring is immediately above a slot in the top surface of the film metering cam. The spring hooks in that slot. Seat the upper metering link over the post in the body, hooking the stud on the right end of the slot on the upper metering link, and then seat the film metering idler gear. There is only one position that the 3 screw holes in the counter gear will align with the 3 screw holes in the film metering cam. Seat the counter gear, making sure the spring is in the slot, and replace the 3 screws. Now we must replace the initial tension on the film metering cam spring. Right now the spring is completely relaxed. It needs enough tension to turn all the counterparts correctly. First, pull down on the vertical metering link. The slot in the vertical metering link grabs the tab on the film metering cam follower, pulling it away from the film metering cam. While holding the vertical metering link down, turn the counter gear in a clockwise direction, adding tension to the film metering cam spring. When the stop lug strikes the cam follower, slide the counter gear up towards the top of the camera, far enough to clear the cam follower, and continue turning the gear clockwise until it reaches the position shown, where the 0 is approximately aligned with the screw hole on the right. You're now sure the stop lug is on the right-hand side of the film metering cam follower. Release the vertical metering link, which allows the idler gear to re-engage with the counter gear, and replace the shoulder screw, taking care not to scratch up the counter gear through the holes of the screw. To test your assembly, pull down the vertical metering link. The gear should snap back to 0. Keep the metering link down and turn the counter gear against its spring tension. Release the gear from several different positions to assure it always snaps back freely. Lubricate the sides of the wind key gear and place it in its slot. Replace the shims into their correct position. Replace the spring washer and the master cam follower, and then the shim on top, then the light shield. Replace the 2 screws and then place the wind plate on top. Lubricate the top of the wind key gear and then place its shim back into position and seat the wind cover on top. Replace all the screws. Remove the 2 screws holding the wind gear assembly together. Replace the multiple exposure ring and seat the tiny pin into its hole. Place the cap and line up all the screw holes. Replace the 2 screws and seat the spacers back into their slots. Replace the wind handle and drive the pin back into its shaft. Test for fluid motion. Finally, place your dummy roll in the back and wind through the full roll, making sure the film feeler rollers are engaging with the proper linkages as it winds the film, that the counter gear is locking the main wind gear at each exposure, that the camera is winding freely at the end of the roll, and that the counter gear resets when the back is closed. Place a piece of paper over the counter gear screw so it does not bind when you glue the leather back down.